Welcome to the show, everyone. I am so excited about bringing on my first guests who have now been on with me a lot. We're going to be talking about people who own restaurants. Maybe you know somebody who owns a restaurant, and people who are failing. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We are live on Facebook, so hi to everybody out there.
Everybody.
Like us and follow us. Now listen up, everyone. First of all, we all have restaurants that we love to go to, right? That we like to frequent. And when you go there, you're probably noticing lately that it's a little lousy or it's not the same, and yet you're paying a lot of money. I have with me Tom Duhigg and Kevin Trumbull, and they are the owners of Rise from the Ashes Consulting. Tom, before you came on, I was talking, I want them to hear a little bit about you, because you're the driving force of what you guys do. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, as a restaurant owner that almost lost my first restaurant with the build it and they will come mentality, and they didn't come, to teaming with Kevin for my second restaurant adventure and creating a destination location where people would come 2 hours in every direction to come eat there.
What'd you serve?
It was Mexican food, Mexican cuisine.
Good. That's a good choice.
Yeah, but it's good food. We took everything up a notch, and people would talk about it. It was the go-to place for Mexican food, and a destination because of the entertainment that Kevin and I would put together. It was just a magnet for stuff. And since then, that was many years ago, and since then, Kevin and I partnered together, and we're known as the 90-day turnaround guys that can turn independents. I've worked with independent restaurants, large chains, some of the fastest growing chains in the country, but I really like the independents.
Right.
We noticed that last year a lot of independents closed, but the chains grew. So we want to fight that and reverse that trend.
And also a lot of people that are listening could understand. I'm that person. I'd much rather go to a mom and pop kind of restaurant that is a very different experience than when we go to the cookie cutter and the big box ones. It's different food, right? And it really is. So I happen to like that. I know I'm sure a lot of people do. You wanted to talk about today something, because you've been kind of going along and educating the public, kind of about things of what you do to help people. And today you wanted to talk about what?
Well, so on our 90-day cash flow transformation, hiring and retention is a huge part of it. Because if you hire good people, or you're not hiring good people, and they're not staying with you, there's no way you're going to cash flow. There's no way you can market. You're never going to be good enough and consistent enough to wow people every visit.
Right.
So we're going to talk about one of our favorite topics, and probably one of our most powerful ways that we help people is hiring and retention. How do you do that?
And I'll tell you something, this works for anybody, any kind of business that's is hiring, any kind of an employee. Listen up, everyone. Go ahead.
So the first thing that we see when we start talking to restaurant owners is they don't treat hiring as very important, right? It's like,
I'll just find new help.
I'll just
find somebody
hiring
else.
is one of the most important things they'll ever do in their business, but they don't treat it that way. They kind of let anybody in. I mean, this is the face of your brand. This is the first impression, people coming in. These are the people who are doing your thing, right? And they tend to delegate it to somebody who's untrained, who doesn't know what they're doing, and so they really bring it down. So the first thing is owners need to understand, this is something I personally oversee. This is what's going to make me successful, or make me not successful in the hiring. So the first thing is the mentality is, this is one of the most important thing you do, along with your menu, who you bring in to take care of it.
And it's so critical, Carol, because if you have someone that's with you for the distance, then your customers get used to that person. If you're constantly turning people over, then your customers say, okay, I wonder who's going to be waiting on us now. They never get to know that individual, their likes and dislikes, and therefore we're talking about longevity of the business. This is how we recession-proof a business. As the money gets tight and people aren't spending as much going out to eat, but you become the destination, the institute that Tom talks about, one of the things you want is this consistent help.
Right.
What Tom's going to go through is how do you find that help and keep that help, the loyalty and the retention of that help.
You had mentioned, I think it was a couple shows ago, about how you go to a restaurant all the time. You love the restaurant, and the person that was I don't know if it was the server that was there, that was the one, or who, but was there for like, I don't know, 50 years or something like that. Tell
Yeah.
me about that.
That's, actually, I got permission to
you?
actually mention it.
All
The
right.
next day I went to that restaurant because the show made me hungry for it. It was actually Black Angus. And one of the waiters that I just absolutely adore, this guy is great. He's 70 years old. He's been there at that established, not that exact building, but with the company for 50 years.
That says something.
He's been at that establishment for over 30 years, and he loves his job every day. He said, when are you gonna retire, Roy? I'm not gonna retire. He loves his job, so everybody that goes in there knows, hey, could I have Roy? Could I talk to Roy? Because they know Roy's gonna treat him a certain way.
You know, we've been talking a little bit about destination, right? But it's an experience more than anything, right?
Right.
I remember I used to go to a restaurant that was just like that. You'd walk in, not only was it knee deep of people,
Right.
the bar was right there at the front, which was really nice, and you walk in and it'd be like, hi, Carol's here.
Right.
What a great feeling that is,
Yes.
right? And the food was always delicious, and they had a fantastic server too, that was just like that. And you have to find the people, you have to, I'm sure you have to, you know, kind of help them along to know how to,
Sure.
you know, serve what you're serving, whatever, but there's nothing like that experience. Go ahead.
Right, exactly. The next thing is another mental shift that hiring people need to understand. The hiring decision goes two ways. I'm selecting the person, and the person is selecting me. Right? A hiring decision is an agreement between two people. Right? Now, most owners don't say, "Oh, they're a match for me. I'm bringing them in." So, but if you have the mentality is, I have to be equally good match for this employee. That's where retention happens. Turnover happens when they're not a match for you, right? They're a match for you, but you're not a match for them, right? So when they're interviewing, I go, "Am I really?" But you got we teach the skills of interviewing, so you can determine, is this really a match? Is the culture a match? Is the job a match? Is my management style a match? Are the coworkers a match? Right? Is this all a match for them? Because if it's not a match, if they're not a match for you after all, what do? You let them go. If you're not a match for them, after a while, what happens? They quit, right? So you really got to be careful in that interview that you're both a match for each other. And we teach them how to do that in our interviewing class. And that also says never rehire anybody, right? Because once somebody decided, I'm not a match,
Oh, yeah, no
you're
way.
not a match, nothing
You're not
changes.
coming back.
They're not
Come
coming
on,
back.
not coming back.
But most of these restaurants rehire. They'll rehire the same person 3 or 4 times.
And one of the
And the
things
same thing happens, they quit.
One of the things you can add to that is work with your networking groups, other business owners, because you may find a qualified person for your friend's business that's struggling to find somebody. Say, hey, he's a match over here.
Isn't that cool?
I
to
Yes.
think that
I
way?
can't use you at the restaurant because I know you need the job and everything, but and Mr. Jones over here is hiring at the insurance company, you'd be perfect for that. So work with the other people and then have other, at the Chamber of Commerce or wherever, and have them tell you, hey, I found a good person that is a cook, and Indeed said he was a welder, and he's not, so he'd be great for your restaurant, you know.
And
So that works really
One thing
well.
we try to do, keep this mentality, you're gonna fire that employee before you hire them. And they're gonna quit you before you hire them. And that's what that interview is for.
Well, you gotta have it right.
Right?
We're gonna talk about the first thing too, when we get back, when we talked a little bit before you came on, which was the resume.
Yes,
Which is, that's
we'll do
another
that.
thing that's gonna be very interesting to talk about. The things that I would never even think about. So we're gonna go to a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk further. What we want is for you, if you're a restaurant owner, or if you know a restaurant that is struggling, give them a call. It's 520-907-8409. They have a proven system that's gonna turn you around in 90 days. Check them out. It's Rise from the Ashes Consulting.com. Hang tight. We'll be back in just a minute.
Awesome. All right.
I know
Fascinating.
we're still on, but where in the world that 15 minutes go?
I know. I only got 2 items, which is
You're
fine.
so fast.
Those are 2.
I know, I
But
know.
Isn't it fascinating when you really sit back and you think, what is the interview process? What am I doing?
Right.
When you're interacting with another
It's
person.
funny because I don't really do that. I never
Right,
have to.
right.
But I do know, what I do know, there are a lot of people out there that are trying to find the people that stay, right?
Right.
And it's been hard. I know the higher price. I know a lot of people that, especially are boutique type of stores or whatever they are having a hard time.
Well,
finding.
tell them, quit looking for people that you want that are going to stay. Look for people that want to stay with you, right? And if they don't, it's a flip.
I also think they have to be
shift.
giving, giving. Like, I know here, that they do more than I would have ever expected, but it's better to have, it's good to take care of your employees, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You have to, because that's what
Yeah.
they're all looking for
Right.
today now too.
Now you're the employer of choice. We do this interview process that's just very in-depth, right? But quick. We do an interview in 20 minutes and we find all this stuff out in 20 minutes. Any longer than that, you lose them, right? Even 20 minutes, you got it.
Or somebody's trying to convince somebody,
Yeah.
they're trying to convince you they're the greatest thing since peanut butter, or you're trying to convince them
Yeah.
it's the best job since peanut butter. But another thing that Tom and I have discovered is some of these places that they'll say, can you start Monday morning at 6 o'clock? And then they don't give them a schedule, just show up at Monday morning, 6 o'clock. Yeah, I fit that schedule, and then, oh no, I can't work this, I can't work that, and you find all this other stuff out. We have a program that Tom has developed that is here's the schedule. The schedule is this. Can you work this schedule? Now you're a match. Can you work this schedule? Because that's what I need for my business, not what you need
Not
in
what
your
your availability
personality.
is.
Right.
This is what I
So
need
if you can't work this, then you're not a match.
You're not hired.
Yeah.
Right.
It makes
That's
a
a
big
disqualifier.
difference because then they stay longer because they say, oh, I got a set schedule. I know I work 2 nights and 3 days, and these are it, and I can plan a life around
Right.
that. So that
Sometimes-
works really
Sometimes
well.
we'll write the employee schedule out for a month. And
Yes.
they love it. But
So they know
for
what
that to
they're
happen,
doing.
you need to get all their availabilities, all their vacation requests, everything. They need to be, which helps them organize their lives.
Yeah.
And their schedule's
absolutely.
written for a month.
Yeah.
I can, like you said, I can plan. What a lot of restaurants owners do is they post it Sunday night for Monday morning, and that is just not fair.
I can understand
Right? That's
that.
just not fair.
My daughter works at a restaurant just for fun, okay?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, they are a happening place,
Nice.
and it's just like that, what you're saying, where they have it out.
Oh, that's
and
great.
they,
Laid out.
And that's part of the
yeah.
success story.
Oh, it's very much.
That's part of it.
So welcome back. During the breaks here at Networking
Yeah.
Arizona, we talk to Facebook land, and we keep on talking in here, and we learn so much, right? And I
Yeah.
love what you're doing is you're kind of helping the people out there kind of think about some of these things. Think about them because what they're talking about. Tom, you've turned around. I don't know how many thousand. I'm just going to say the number, whatever it is. For how long have you been doing this?
This hiring process alone, I've been doing it for 20 plus years.
Wow.
And that doesn't change. And they say, well, the demographics have changed, and the people of this generation. No.
No, the
People are
same. The
people.
process works,
Right?
and you
It's
know
the
what?
same
You
thing.
don't change what ain't broke, right?
Right.
And here's the thing: they turn restaurants or food trucks as well.
Yeah.
Even any business, by the way. The turnaround is within 90 days. They work statewide. They do free complimentary consultations. And what we're talking about right now is the hiring process. It's probably what you said could be your number one mistake
Number one
that you're
problem.
making. Go ahead.
It could be the number one problem in your restaurant. And it is.
Let me
It
give
doesn't-
out your number before we go,
Sure.
because and write it down. Maybe it's you or someone that I just did that today with you. I
Yes.
gave you a restaurant that I knew that was kind of
Yes,
maybe
we're gonna call
failing.
them.
There you go.
We're gonna visit.
Soon as we leave.
522-907-8409. Why did I tell you? Because it's a small little restaurant, family owned.
Independent.
Much would rather go and eat there, good food,
Yes.
than I would rather go to some chain. They're
Right.
just different.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay, so we talked about some mentality shifts, right? So here's some practical advice. Never assume that the resume or application you're reading is accurate. Don't assume anything on it is accurate. Now, I'm not being negative or saying everybody's false, right? And everybody's trying to. So they take AI and they give the prompt. Here's my stuff. Make me the best candidate out there, right? So before AI, resume writers and others would falsify over half of the resumes. So over half the ones we got in were fake or something wrong with them. Now it's 80%, and they all look the same. And that line on top, I'm this, I'm that, they all sound the same because they're using chat. And the resume is perfect. There's no spelling, everything's sandwiched perfect, right? So you can't believe that, what you're reading, right? What we do is we unpack the fake resume and repack the real resume during the interview. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Yeah.
And there's a way to do it.
There's a
There
way we do
really
it.
is a way to do it.
In a 20-minute interview, we get the right resume, the right work history, the correct why they left their job, because that's what they're going to lie about. That's what they're going to falsify. And even the work dates, start and end dates, they're all wrong. They're all, because nobody calls. So you're not going to call each place. I have the employee tell me the real through some skills in the interview.
So here's the thing too, there's a lot of people out there, they are a little desperate, they want jobs, they want a good job,
Yeah.
and they're gonna do what they can, and AI now,
AI.
obviously, is gonna be a huge
Yes.
problem. It
It is a
sounds like
problem.
it's a great thing
It's a
for the
problem.
person that they're writing that resume for, but when you walk in and that's not really you,
It's not you.
that's really unfair.
Mhm.
That is, it's unfair.
And then the other thing is, this is again blunt, right? You can't believe anything they tell you.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, you can't believe anything they give you in writing, and you can't believe anything they tell you. Not that everybody's a liar, not that anybody's deceiving, but this is the reason why. So we talked about this earlier. So Carol, you're an employer, right? You're a restaurant, and you want to hire somebody. You've never done it. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to Google, and what are you going to ask
Right.
Google or AI?
Yeah, how do I hire somebody?
Right. What are some interview questions?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, let's say you want to get a job. You don't know how to interview, so what are you going to do? Go to Google and chat and ask what?
So the questions and the answers are exactly the same.
That's what you were saying,
Right.
because,
They're going to tell you how to answer these questions.
right,
So the interviewer is using questions from Google and chat, and the candidate knows these questions and already is coached on how to answer them. And there's this cat and mouse chess game going on when
Yes.
nobody's honest with anybody. Because I've been trained I know what you're going to ask and I know what you want to hear.
but here's the thing, you've been around for so long, you
Yep.
already know how to change that
Yep.
so that it can be the right questions, the
Right.
right,
And we do not ask those questions.
No.
We did a show.
We did a show on our podcast on Rise from the Ashes Consulting on YouTube. And you can actually see us go through this, and I just pulled it up. We pulled some from
Mhm.
Harvard University and also from Indeed. And we just started, Tom said, just read them off and ask me like it's in an interview. So I was reading them off, and then he was saying this is how you could say it if you were the interviewer, and this is how you could cut through it as the employer. Not saying that everybody would lie, but look, I go into an interview, I'm gonna make myself look the best I
That's right.
can. I'm
Right.
not gonna tell you all my flaws, because I need and want the job. I have a family, I'm gonna feed them. And we're not saying everybody that makes a mistake isn't hireable,
Mhm.
because we've all made mistakes, every
Right.
single one of us. What you're trying to do is get to the bottom line. Can I
So
work with this
honest.
person? Is
Right.
this person a good fit for what I
you
have?
might even be a better person than the resume
Exactly.
is
Right.
even
We
saying.
just want to get to the real person.
Right.
Right, and that's what we want to do, is we want to get them relaxed and see if we can have an honest interview. So the questions that we have an interview guide that we help our clients with, none of those questions are on Google. They're not on Indeed. They're not questions that people ask. And so we throw them off their game early. Wait a minute, I didn't remember that
Ready
question.
for that.
Well, I don't know how to answer that one. Now I got to be honest, because I'm not rehearsed.
Yeah.
I haven't been coached on how to answer these 10 questions that I'm going to be asked. Throws them off. We do things in the reverse order, and they're off their game. But I don't want to be off there. I want to relax and
You
enjoy
know,
the conversation.
I
It's
have
just
to be
Yes.
honest with you, I do that on my show. When a lot of people
Yes.
that are talking
Mhm.
and they're almost reading instead of talking, and I'll throw them
Mhm.
off with a question that wasn't on what they're brought
Yes,
in.
that's good.
But here's what happens is they become more relaxed. They
Yes.
realize
Yeah.
what you're doing. They may not
Curveball.
like it right at first, but all of a sudden they're talking
But they
Yeah,
speak
from
from
their
here.
heart.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's so important. Go ahead.
Yeah. So those are the big ones. And another big one is knowing what you want and knowing what you don't want in an applicant. So we give seminars. So if
Yeah.
there's some companies out there, they want to train managers or HR people how to interview, we come and give the interview training. So I had 30 general managers that I was giving this class to, and I asked the question, what is it that you look for in a good hire? And I had somebody write them all on the ground. So out of the 30 GMs, we had almost 100 answers, right? I said, we got a problem here. None of you guys agree on what you're looking for. And all you guys are all the hiring managers. You've been trained, you're going through training, but look, there's 100 answers on the board. None of them agree. I said, that's a problem. I said, now, I want you to erase that, put next to it, things you look for that you don't want to hire. They all agree with every one of them. So which is more important, what you're looking for and what you're not looking for.
Probably hear what you're not looking
Not
for.
looking for. They all agreed. And I said, you all agree on that? Then don't hire anybody. During your interview, if you see any of those red flags, do not hire them. Now, to solve the first problem, we've narrowed down to 5. In our hiring, instead of 100, there are 5 attributes we look for in employees. And that's in our training. Just 5.
Here's the thing too, I think a lot of, especially restaurant owners, are just looking to find somebody to replace who they lost.
Warm
So they'll
bodies.
take
Yes.
anybody just to get that, you know, like you said, filled, and then, I'll find somebody later on.
Mhm.
And that causes the longevity problem. And then, so most of the turnover in the industry, in any business, is, there's 2 businesses, and I picked both of them. The restaurant industry and the pool industry, high turnover in both of them. And we've really narrowed that down to where some of the places that we've gone to is 150% turnover.
Yeah.
That's turning over everybody at least once a year. Down to, what is it, some of them?
8%,
8, 9,
under
10%, where you're retaining those employees and you're keeping them, you have the longevity. Guess what that does? Build the rapport with your customers and keep your customer coming back.
Yeah, and also it gives you you have peace of mind too, when you know that you have good employees that
Sure.
are there for you as well.
And when they
Yes.
follow these guidelines, there's a bunch of them, but when they follow these, they get employees that instead of being there for 3 months, they're there for 3 years.
Yes.
And now if you've got an employee there for 3 years, they learn the job, they bond with the customers,
bond with
they
customers.
understand
Oh, yeah.
everything.
Like I said, when they come in, they wanna go to my daughter's
Right.
section,
Yes.
you know, because
great.
she makes them feel that comfortable, right?
Every single time, not just one time.
Yeah.
Every single time your daughter's saying, "Welcome in.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. How's your wife?
Right, right.
I know she was sick." You know, you get to know people. It's a people business.
Right, right,
How
right.
can you build that rapport if you have a new person every time?
Right.
I'm barely learning the menu. I'm shaking. You know, can I take
And-
your
and I'm
order?
cooking.
I don't know what you want. Now your
Right.
daughter says, "Oh, is it going to be the usual? Going to be your 2? Here's your 2 drinks. What you going to have as a salad today?"
Yeah.
She already knows.
And that cook that's been there for 10 years, do the same thing every time, no waste, perfect presentation. Well, they've done it 1,000 times, right?
So
Not
now
the new
you're-
guy who's messing up and you're getting something that's, well,
Right.
what is this?
Yeah, and that goes back to our program at risefromtheashesconsulting.com, where you hit the accelerate button. This is how we accelerate your profits in 90 days. This is just one little tiny thing.
Let me just tell you something, folks. They have a proven record
Mhm.
that they can do this for you in 90 days. Can you imagine? Because there's a lot of people out there that own restaurants, are up all night long. How am I gonna get this money?
Right, yep.
They're on spilkas is what I call it. You don't have to be.
I love it.
Their phone number is 520-907-8409. Check them out. It's risefromtheashesconsulting.com.